it. Oh. Crushed it, Kieran. I love that song. Well done.
Good.
That was awesome. All right, so, I got to do another pickup line.
Oh
Bummer.
yes, don't forget those.
All right. If your heart was a hello. Yeah, if your heart was a chimney, I would grow a big belly and a white beard just so I could get in.
Aww. It's so weird,
little weird,
and beautiful.
but- Kind of cute. All right, so next up is actually Shelby and Laura, and I don't know what they're doing, but it sounds really weird. So I'd say buckle up and get ready. That's all.
Yes, it shall be interesting. Oh. I'm on fire. Okay. So essentially, this is something that was brought to our camp this year. It's for youth. It's called Spontaneous Melodramas. And Cody's shaking his head because he knows how awesome they are. That's why. And so Laura will be the narrator. And she'll kind of just show you. You'll get the idea. It's really funny. So this one we're doing is called The Young and the Hairless. Like the young and the... You guys, that's funny. This will be a really long and painful thing if you don't laugh. Thank you. Okay, so it's obviously about Samson and Delilah, which is found in Judges 16. Oh yeah, maybe it wasn't obvious, but you know. What do we want? Yeah. Oh, Laura wants me to explain first.
So how it works is it's like a Bible text. And you know how like everyone interprets the Bible a little bit differently. So this is one particular interpretation of the Bible. So, and so first Shelby reads the real Bible, and then I'll read the other interpretation.
Yeah, it sounds weird, but it's funny. Anyways, okay, one day Samson went to Gaza when he saw a prostitute. He went in to spend the night with her. The people of Gaza were told, "Samson is here." So they surrounded the place and lay in wait for him all night at the city gate. They made no move during the night, saying, "At dawn, we'll kill him." But Samson lay there only until the middle of the night. Then he got up and took hold of the doors of the city gate, together with the two posts, and tore them loose, bar and all. He lifted them to his shoulders and carried them to the top of the hill that faces Hebron. Some time later, he fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. The rulers of the Philistines went to her and said, "See if you can lure him into showing you the secret of his great strength and how we can overpower him, so we may tie him up and subdue him. Each one of us will give you 1,100 shekels of silver." So Delilah said to Samson, "Tell me the secret of your great strength and how you can be tied up and subdued." Samson answered her, "If anyone ties me with 7 fresh thongs that have not been dried, I'll become as weak as any other man." Then the rulers of the Philistines brought her 7 fresh thongs that had not been dried, and she tied him with them. That wasn't supposed to be a joke. With men hidden in the room, she called to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." But he snapped the thongs as easily as a piece of string snaps when it comes close to a flame. So the secret of his strength was not discovered. Then Delilah said to Samson, "You have made a fool of me. You lied to me. Come now, tell me how you can be tied." He said, "If anyone ties me securely with new ropes that have never been used, I'll become as weak as any other man." So Delilah took new ropes and tied him with them. Then, with men hidden in the room, she called to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." But he snapped the ropes off his arms as if they were threads. Delilah then said to Samson, "Until now you've been making a fool of me and lying to me. Tell me how you can be tied." He replied, "If you were to weave the 7 braids of my head into the fabric on the loom and tighten it with the pin, I'll become as weak as any other man." So while he was sleeping, Delilah took the 7 braids of his head, wove them into the fabric, and tightened it with the pin. Again she called to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He awoke from his sleep and pulling up the pin and the loom with the fabric. Then she said to him, "How can you say I love you when you won't confide in me? This is the 3rd time you have made a fool of me and haven't told me the secret of your great strength." With such nagging, she prodded him day after day until he was tired to death. So he told her everything. "No razor has ever been used on my head," he said, "because I have been a Nazarite set apart to God since birth. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man." When Delilah saw that he had told her everything, she sent the sword to the rulers of the Philistines. "Come back once more," he said, "or he has told me everything." So the rulers of the Philistines returned with the silver in their hands. Having put him to sleep on her lap, she called a man to shave off his 7 braids of his hair. and so began to subdue him, and his strength left him. Then she called, Samson, the Philistines are upon you. He awoke from his sleep and thought, I'll go as before and shake myself free. But he did not know what the Lord had left him. Then the Philistines seized him, gouged out his eyes, and took him down to Gaza, binding him with bronze shackles. They set him to the grinding in the prison, but the hair on his head began to grow again after it had been shaved.
So, I don't just read the story, actually. Maybe I didn't give the best description of what's going to happen. You guys are actually going to see it acted out for you. So, but I actually need people to act for me, because obviously I'm not going to do it. So Shelby texted me like an hour ago asking me to do this, and so I'd settled on who we could have acting. So I figured for handsome, we could have John come up, John and Eric. Yeah. And then obviously Delia would be Luna. Because they're together. And then we need Phyllis, which can be Lissy. And the Philistines can be, thank you, Holly and Katrina and Chantel. So pretty much, oh goodness, how does this work? Oh, got it. Okay, so how it works is I read it, and then whatever I read, you do. So you guys know who you are, right? You each know your characters? John, you know who you are? Luna, you know who you are? You're the most important ones. Okay. So just so you guys know, Handsome is currently in his house preparing for his date with Delia. So, in our last episode of The Young and the Hairless, we saw the hunky, long-haired stud muffin Handsome as he got ready to visit that passion princess, Delia. He held up a mirror, looking at himself, combing the dew. He flexed his pecs. He smoothed his eyebrows. All the while, he was humming, There He Is, Mr. America. I guess it's a song. Unbeknownst to Handsome, at that very moment, in the valley of Sorek, sweet little old Delia was hatching a plot with the neighborhood tough girl, Phyllis, and her gang of strong, mean women with an attitude, and with unshaved armpits. The Philistines. They huddled together and talked in low voices. They chuckled quietly. With her head in the huddle, Phyllis growled, I want to know the secret of Handsome's strength. Yes.
I want to know the secret of his strength.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry. Okay, the Philistines slapped each other on the back and yelled in unison. We are women. Hear us roar. Handsome ain't gonna be strong no more. Later that night, Delia was in her apartment, laughing at her favorite TV show, Bethlehem 90210. There was a knock at the door, and in strolled Handsome. He swooped her. Oh, that's good. Yeah. He swooped her into his arms and gave her a long, romantic handshake. He spoke. Greetings, my little cactus blossom. Delia looked into Handsome's face and gave a very sexy wink. Then she gave him a flirty smile and said, that was some handshake, ya hunka burnin' love. She also said, By the way, big guy, what's the secret to your strength? With that, she began to run her hands up and down his arm. Handsome flexed his forearm so she could feel his muscle. With a wink of his eye and a flashy grin, Handsome replied, "It's my thong sandals, Delia. Undo the Velcro and I'm just a scrawny weakling." Undo the Velcro and I'm a scrawny weakling. So she looked at him with her flirty smile and said, "May I try on your sandals? I have a thing for thongs." Nope. Handsome, thinking himself very funny, replied, "Oh, great, I love music too. What thong should I thing?" But Delia slid closer to Handsome and put her finger over his mouth in a shut up gesture. Obviously, enchanted by her magic, Handsome began slipping off his sandals. Just then, the Philistines ran into the room and attacked Handsome. They swarmed all over him, but Handsome jumped to his feet and did a series of karate moves that left those tough adolescent women falling in every direction. And so his secret remained undiscovered, barely. But Delia was ticked off. She ran to Handsome and slapped him senseless. She whined, "That was rude, Handsome. You lied to me. Now tell me the real reason of your strength." And she began walking her fingers up his arm all the way to his ear. She stuck one of her fingers in his ear and said, "Can you hear me, big guy?" Handsome was breathing heavily. He shook his head to clear his thinking, but he was obviously under the spell of Delia. He said, "If you tie me with 3 bungee cords that have never been used, I will not be able to break free." Just pretend you said it. And with that, Delia suggested sweetly, "Well, speaking of bungee cords, let's practice some bungee jumping right here from the living room chandelier. I'll tie your hands." But no sooner were Handsome's hands tied than the Philistines stormed into the room again, screaming and hitting Handsome. Yet once again, our hero was too clever. Handsome reached up to the chandelier, grabbed the bungee cord, flailed it wildly at the Philistines until, one by one, they fell away. Now Delia was really upset. She pouted, "I've tried to have you captured twice, and you haven't been nice to my friends." It's okay. Delia reached out and took Handsome's hands. She whined, "Doesn't our relationship mean anything? Can't I trust you?" As she spoke, Delia, rubbing his arms, felt his muscles, tickled his kneecap, batted her eyes and scrunched her nose. Then she said, "If you really love me, you know you'd give in." And finally, Handsome did give in. In his best Playboy voice, he said, the secret of my strength is my hair. The secret of my strength is my hair. The audience gasped. They all said together, "Oh darn! Oh fudge! Oh no!" And with that, Handsome laid his head down in Delia's lap, and Delia sang sweetly, "Rockabye Baby." When Handsome was fast asleep, Delia gave him a massive buzz haircut, making razor sounds as she worked. Yeah, just pretend you're shaving his head. Or his beard. It wasn't long before the Philistines charged into the room again, screaming, swinging, and kicking. This time, Handsome was no match for the raging women. They blindfolded and gagged him. The audience gasped. They tied his hands. The audience groaned. They took him prisoner and danced around Handsome like people dance. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's episode of The Young and the Hairless. Tune in next time when Handsome says, "Lord, remember me just once more," and when Deliar says, "Man, those burritos were awesome." The moral to the story, never trust anyone who pressures you to give in for love, for you may lose more than just your hair.